I'd like to call to order the June 14th, 2022 regular monthly meeting of the South Carolina Water and Sewer Authority Board of Directors. And I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. Thank you for attending. And sorry we're getting off to a late start, but we had a little delay, so we'll see if we can't get rolling here. Mr. Schroyer, will you give us our roll call, please?
Sure will, Mr. Chair. Mr. Gooch?
Here.
Ms. Kaczynski?
Present.
Ms. Jordan?
Present.
Mr. Karen?
Here.
Mr. McKellar? Mr. McLam?
Present.
And Mr. Wegg.
Present.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And if you will, Vice Chair Kaczynski, will you lead us in our prayer and invocation?
I certainly will. Please join me and bow your heads. Dear Lord, be with us tonight as we discuss the business of SIGWASA and help us to open our minds and our hearts to do what's best for our customers, citizens we serve, and everyone in the area. Thank you for keeping us safe, get us home safe tonight, so we may return and do this again next month. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen. And Mr. Way, will you lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Is there any adjustments to the meeting agenda? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
excuse me, if I may, I'd like to strike item 16, the water treatment plant bulk storage tank removal item,
Okay.
to a typo. Realized that today when I was reviewing the agenda, and I will bring that item back to the board in July. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other adjustments? Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Make a motion that we approve the amended agenda as presented.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Now, we have an award for our former board member, Mr. Edgar Smoke. Georgiana, will you join me?
Yes, sir.
Becky, will you and Maggie join me down front, please?
Want the rest of the board members as well?
Yes, and if you will, the rest of the board members join us, please. Sorry.
I had another engagement.
Yes. Anyway. Yes. Boy, I'm at a loss for words. As many of you know.
to move over more?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. How do you want us to do
Yeah,
this?
Yeah, if you,
Come forward. Forward.
Forward from the
oh, okay.
That'd be great.
Is it Claire coming off of that?
Okay, yeah.
That's what. We're all in the picture.
Okay. All right. I'm not good at using the microphone. But anyway, Edgar was not only a mentor, but he was also a longtime friend, very good friend that I've enjoyed this company for many, many decades, and was sad when he left us. But a lot of people don't know that Edgar was very instrumental in the formation of the town of Butner and the South Carolina Water and Sewer Association. In fact, Tom Lane told me just last year that when they were forming SIGWASA, the state put a stipulation in, and it's in the bill that formed the bill, the state legislature bill that formed SIGWASA. And they put in there that Seguasa had paid approximately $750,000 a year back to the state. And that would continue on through Butler taking over. And Edgar and Tom Lane, in their meeting said, we think we can get by with less money than that. So they reduced it from $750,000 a year to $500,000 a year. And that's what we're about to pay out. Is it won't be but a few more years and we'll be done with that $500,000 per year. But thanks to Edgar and Tom, it's $750,000, it's $500,000, not $750,000. So Edgar did a lot for the county. He did a lot for the town of Butler. He did a lot for Seguasa. And, I've always appreciated his leadership and been so thankful to have known him and been a part of his life and been a part of Vicky's life and part of Maggie's life. I still remember the day she was born. So with this, we'd like to present this token of our appreciation to our past chairman, Edgar Smoke. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This means a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for donating.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Would you just turn the plaque around and we'll get a picture?
Yeah, just the way, we get you to step over, Mr. McLeod, step in, there we go.
Okay. You want to step in, Georgiana?
Yeah, Miss Karen, go either that way or that way, there you go. Mr. McLeod, go that way a little more. Keep going. Oh, right there.
Thank you.
No, it's back. Fake pictures of
I
it.
know, right?
This way,
And it's interesting, interesting.
Be grateful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Now, item 7 on our agenda, review and approval of the minutes from the May 10th, 2022 meeting. Does everyone have a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Got a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second?
Second. And is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. And now we're down to public comments. Did anyone sign up for public comments, Mr. Shroya?
No, we did not receive any public comments prior to the meeting and no comment cards this evening, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right, and then item 9, board discussion items. And I see no one had submitted any items for discussion this month. So we'll move on to emergency expenditure notification for emergency electrical work at the Butler Crossings pump station. And this is information only from our executive director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just briefly, because the board members have been updated on this item via email previously, and I did not receive any questions or comments from the board members, but just as far as memorializing what's required as far as our policy, I just wanted to go over this report again for the board, just to mention that during the thunderstorms that moved through the local area around May 27th, 2022, crews responded to a notification of a power outage at one of our sanitary sewer pump stations, and when they arrived on site, they found that a branch had actually fallen across one of the electric lines and actually removed the electrical supply in the box itself from the support structure. Due to the timing of the storm, of course, and the Memorial Day weekend upon us, we could not get crews out there immediately to make a repair, but we were able to get in touch with an electric company to come out and do some work for us. And so basically authorized Lewis Electric to come out and do some emergency work for us in the amount of $5,900 to replace the pump station electrical panel due to the tree limb. And the reason it was an emergency purchase is because we basically didn't have any money in that fund this time of year to cover that purchase. Staff will file an insurance claim to recoup most of the money involved with this project, and a budget amendment is needed for this item as there is insufficient money available in the operating funds to cover the emergency purchase. The work was completed prior to June 3rd, and again, we're looking for later on in this agenda, asking the board to approve the FY 21-22 budget amendment number 11 that supports this expense. So, of course, I'll be happy to answer any questions that the board may have regarding this item.
Is there any questions from anyone? And I see that this will be part of Budget Amendment 11, which will be further down in our agenda. So with that, we'll move on to item 11, the Sequasa Employee Benefits Contract Renewals for fiscal year 22-23. And you going to handle this, or you want your HR director to handle it?
Well, I actually wanted the HR manager to assist me this evening, but she is injured and she could not attend this evening. So I'm
Okay.
going to cover the HR topics this evening. So this is a contract renewal that we have for our fiscal year 22-23 coming up. So following our budget approval, which was done by our board last May, or just last month, excuse me, at our May meeting, I want to bring to the board's attention our contract renewals. And that's what you have in front of you this afternoon. So the Sequasa FY 22-23 approved budget includes projected expenses related to employee health care benefits. The Sequasa provides medical insurance, dental insurance, long-term disability insurance, and vision insurance benefits to its employees who desire to participate. Sequasa has existing benefits contracts with the following providers: Cigna for our medical insurance, and then Guardian for our dental, vision, and long-term disability insurance. Just in terms of a background, Sequasa staff meet several times throughout the fiscal year with its benefit strategy consultant to review existing benefit plans, our use history, to discuss benefit strategies, to create an environment of well-being and engagement, review marketplace perspectives, and determine a benefit package that is cost-effective for Sequasa. So for the upcoming renewal period, Sequasa's benefit strategy consultant, Gallagher Insurance, was able to negotiate the medical insurance renewal to a 7.5% increase. Sequasa staff estimated a 10% increase overall in our FY 22-23 budget. And as for the Guardian provider benefits mentioned previously, Sequasa will not incur a price increase for these items this fiscal year. So I provided for you on this memo, as far as the financial, a table that summarizes the negotiated benefit rates. If you will see in the table itself, to the far right, we actually have our FY 22-23 proposed plan costs over last year's plan costs, and we actually show you the difference of those costs to the far right as well. We go through an open enrollment period for our employees, and that enrollment period started on May 26th and will end on June 17th, coming up this week. So the recommendation is for the Sequasa board to authorize the executive director to execute contract renewals for FY 22 and 23 with Cigna and Guardian. And I'll do my best to answer your questions regarding the employee benefits, absent the HR manager.
Does anyone have any questions, comments? If not, do I hear a motion?
Make a motion that we authorize the executive director to execute a contract renewal for the FY 22-23 with Cigna and Guardian.
Okay,
Second.
have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. And now we go to our voluntary shared leave policy draft. And Mr. Shore, you're going to go through this for us,
Yes,
please?
I will. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The South Granville Water and Sewer Authority personnel policy was adopted by the Board of Directors, via resolution on June 11th, 2019, the board approved personnel policy did not include a voluntary shared leave donation policy. A voluntary shared leave donation policy is an employee-friendly policy that assists employees in need. Therefore, the HR manager and executive director find it timely to bring this draft policy to the board of directors for their consideration and approval. So just some further background, the voluntary shared leave donation policy provides guidelines and procedures to assist Sigourney employees during periods of prolonged medical conditions who find themselves exhausting all available leave and therefore being placed on leave without pay at a time when they are most vulnerable. The policy allows Sigourney employees to donate a portion of their available benefit time to aid a fellow employee. In terms of the next steps, this policy will become effective upon approval by the board. The board approves this. Financially, while this program is designed to assist employees during a difficult health crisis, it could have direct and indirect financial impacts on the authority, and I've listed for you on this memo some of the potential financial conditions. As far as an attachment, I have a draft voluntary shared leave donation policy or procedure attached for you to review, and my recommendation is for the Sigourney Board of Directors to approve the voluntary shared leave policy as presented in attachment 1. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Does anyone have any questions? Yes.
This is I'm glad that we're doing this because the one former employer that I had, they allowed this, and it really does help employees to help another employee. And I think it's a great opportunity, and I'm assuming that this policy suggestion came from the employees.
Well, actually, I think it was a team effort, quite honestly, and we saw the need for it. And it had been pointed out previously in a recommendation from the consultant during 2019 that we get back to this policy, or at least give it some consideration. So we thought it was timely, so we thought we would bring this forward.
I think it's excellent.
The only comment I have is in reviewing these policies, typically we're concerned about making sure that the identity of the employee is not given out because of HIPAA concerns and that sort of thing. So it would please the board if I could suggest some language to Scott after this is adopted, just to preserve confidentiality, to make sure that to the extent possible, the recipient's name is not disclosed in a way that would violate HIPAA or other laws.
Good idea.
Any other questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion
Yeah.
that we approve the voluntary shared leave policy with the added language from our attorney as presented in attachment 1.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is the fiscal year 22-23 position classification update. Mr. Shroyer. Paying classification plan update.
Personnel policy.
Very good. So item 13 is our section 3 starting salaries portion. So let me just get to that.
I'm on the wrong.
So we've already talked about and established the personnel policy was approved by the board via resolution on June 11th, 2019. Regarding the policy regarding the pay plan, Article 3, Section 3, starting salaries, the policy states that all persons employed in positions approved in the position classification plan shall be employed at the hiring rate for the classification in which they are employed. However, exceptionally well-qualified applicants may be employed above the hiring rate of the established salary range upon recommendation of the department head and human resources officer and the approval of the executive director. Once again, the administration finds it timely to bring to the board of directors a proposed pay plan Article 3, Section 3 starting salaries policy change that in essence eliminates the hiring rate restriction. In terms of the analysis, the current board approved position classification and pay scale includes a section for recommended hiring rate for each job grade. You'll see that in figure 1 below, just basically a snippet of the compensation plan, and I've highlighted for you faintly in yellow a recommended hiring rate for licensed and new hires during probation. So you can see that column that we have there in that table. We're basically recommending that, well, let me just finish down below, that the HR manager and executive director have experienced in the past several years due to labor market conditions that the recommended hiring rate restriction impairs Sigwasa's ability to recruit top candidates for positions. As such, the HR manager and executive director are recommending the recommended hiring rate restriction be removed from the policy and position classification plan, thus allowing the flexibility to hire new employees between the minimum and midpoint of the position classification plan. So should the board of directors approve the recommended changes proposed in the pay plan article as included above, then the policy will become effective immediately. In terms of the financial effects of this, the positions are budgeted for hiring at the midpoint for each salary grade and job title. Therefore, hiring new employees at or below the mid-range of the board-approved position classification and pay scale should not have negative financial impacts on the annual operating budget. In terms of your attachments below, I have the first item is a red line version, so it's kind of an underline and underscore starting salary. That represents our existing policy of our strike through, and the clean version is actually the version that we're proposing. So the red line version are the edits, and the clean version basically is the language that we're offering here. So the executive director's recommendation is the board of directors approve the changes in the pay plan article 3, section 3, starting salaries as recommended in the clean version below. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So, do we need to vote on this? Is this information only at this point?
I would actually need a motion to accept the changes that are proposed
Okay,
in that section 3, starting salaries.
okay. And this will give you the ability to hire experienced people from another system.
It will basically free up the restriction that we have to follow, and we shall hire people at the recommended hiring rate. So it does provide us with that flexibility which we need, especially in this labor market. Most of the time, we don't have to go above the midpoint. There are times that we do, but we do have some flexibility.
Any questions? Yes.
So the yellow section, did that used to say during probation? Is that what that word is that's cut off?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there'll still be a probation period, but we're just dealing with the financial aspect of it.
That is correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
All right.
And thank you for getting me back on track. I guess I need better glasses. I skipped over this one, went
That's
straight
what I'm
to
here
14. That's what Georgiana's here for. Okay. All right, and any more questions, any comments?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the changes to the pay plan Article 3, Section 3, starting salaries as recommended.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Got a second? Any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Now we get down to item 14. Fiscal year 22-23 position classification update.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So again, just working on personnel policy updates, if you will, and I'd like to mention at this point that it's very common for us to, on certain periods, whether it be once a year or twice a year, to bring these policy edits to the board, and you'll see some additional ones coming towards you probably later on this summer as well, as we work through to clean up some sections in our policy manual. Personnel policy includes policies that apply to the appointment, classification, benefits, salary, promotion, demotion, dismissal, and conditions of employment of the employees of the authority. The executive director and the human resources manager are responsible for the administration of the position classification plan. The plan provides a complete inventory of all authorized and permanent positions in the authority and an accurate description and specification of each class of employment. The plan standardizes job titles, each of which is indicative of a definite range of duties and responsibilities. In terms of the analysis of this item, according to sections 3 and 4 of the personnel policy position classification plan, Authority Board must approve changes to the position classification plan. The May 10th, 2022 board meeting, the Board of Directors approved the FY 22-23 budget effective July 1st, 2022. The approved budget includes a 2% wage schedule adjustment to the previously approved FY 21-22 classification pay scale. The updated FY 22-23 position classification plan is found below in Figure 1 on the next page. Personnel changes approved in the fiscal year 22-23 budget include updating the existing vacant social media communication specialist position from 30 hours per week to 40 hours per week. Additional 10 hours per week will be dedicated to board secretary duties. Additionally, the position title will be changed to Public Information Officer to reflect the job duties more accurately. Additional changes proposed by the Executive Director for this fiscal year's position classification found in Figure 1 include the following 3 bullets. Updating the current utility engineer manager's job to the title of engineering director. The current level for this position is level 26, and it will remain at level 26. The engineering director will now be responsible for the utility operations area, thus providing improved coordination of all utility activities. Changing the organization structure of the engineering section is timely, as this section will continue to see growth in the coming years as the section meets the demands of growth, such as field inspection services, utility project management, technical services, etc. Lastly, the engineering director will assist the executive director as needed. The next item is changing the current vacant utility operations director position title and duties to utility engineer operations manager. This engineering position will now report directly to the engineering director, provide the needed help to the engineering director as engineering tasks have been and continue to increase throughout the organization. Next item, changing the finance director's current level from 24 to 26 to match the current level of the engineering director. Taking this action provides parity in terms of professional job duties and responsibilities for the directors. Due to the tenure of the current employee and the current salary being above the midpoint, the employee will not receive a reclassification pay increase as referenced in Article 3, Pay Plan, Section 8 of the current policy, personnel policy. Position classification plan has been updated to reflect the board-approved FY 22-23 budget, along with the proposed changes mentioned above. As such, the executive director is seeking the board's approval on the updated position classification plan. Furthermore, for the board's information, an updated Sigwasa organizational chart for this coming fiscal year is included in Figure 2. So in terms of the executive director's recommendation, I'm asking the board of directors to approve the updated position classification for FY 22-23, effective July 1st, 2022, as shown in Figure 1. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there any questions, comments?
I'll make a motion when you're ready, sir.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I hear a second? Second. Second. All right. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
So, Mr. Schroyer, that was the, your recommendation to update the position classification plan for 22-23.
That's correct.
And you did make the motion to,
Oh, yes, sir, I stated I was ready to make it when you were ready.
okay, sorry. I'm a little bit off tonight.
It's okay. I just made sure I stated
I'm
it
off
for the
there
record.
tonight, but thank you. Thank you. Just so we got it in.
Everyone knew what we were talking about.
Okay, good. Good. So that takes us to item 15, Budget Amendment 11. So we're looking for a finance director. Mr. Schroyer is going to take a break now.
Only one item tonight, so.
Oh, we need about 10.
Oh, no. Last month y'all hired me out, so this month is just one. This is the last budget amendment for the fiscal year, barring any kind of major emergencies at year end. This final budget amendment for 21-22 increases the revenue projections for the fiscal year, also reallocates budget within various departments for pay and benefits related to overtime, and increases the budget for fuel and supplies in various departments, also increases the budget for legal services. The amendment increases and reallocates budget for electricity and some repairs at pump stations and lift stations, including the one that the emergency repair the director informed you about earlier tonight. This amendment appropriates designated fund balance to cover Sequasa paid direct costs related to the sewer I-85 project as approved by the board in the capital project ordinance at last month's May 10th regular meeting. The budget amendment also reallocates some budget for implementation of the GASB 87 lease reporting requirement, which is new for this fiscal year. In your agenda, you have the budget amendments prior to this one that have already been approved by the board, number 1 through 10, totaling $7,221,651. And then the budget amendment itself, I won't read the whole thing, but it's basically, you'll see that it's increasing the revenues, the non-billing revenues, the water revenues, and the wastewater revenues. And it's also booking the capital project ordinance for the $5.3 million that's already been earmarked for the CDN Smith contract, which will be funded by the ARPA grant from DEQ. And you'll see those same entries in the expense section. There's a transfer from fund balance included in the revenues of $364,000, and that basically is a cumulative net effect of we're taking $1 million out of designated fund balance to spend toward the I-85 project for the direct costs incurred by Sequasa as the board approved last month. We're increasing revenues by $656,000, and then we've got an additional $20,000 in expenses being allocated to repairs of pump stations. The net of those three things is $364,000 that we're asking to appropriate from fund balance. Total revenues $6,372,900. You'll see that in the expenditure section, some of the departments are going down, a few are going up. That's where we're reallocating available budget to cover some of those costs we talked about earlier. Total expenditure $6,372,900. And the board of directors, the recommendation from the executive director is that the board of directors approve budget amendment number 11 as presented. I'll answer any questions if you have it. You have the detailed supporting schedule in your agendas.
Okay. Anyone have any questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
Scott, can you go roll up to the next page?
Roll up or roll down, please?
Up to the next page? No, the other way, I'm sorry. My down, your up, I got it.
The supporting document?
That's it. What are the headings on these two columns? That's what I'm missing.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
I don't know
Cut
what
that
that.
out. So the first column, that's a very good question. The first column is the budget amendment itself. That's
Okay,
what we're amending it. The second column is what the budget will be if the board approves this. So that's the final budget amount.
that's what I wanted to find out.
And we'll get the headers. I wonder if it's been missing on all the previous ones. I don't know.
It's all right, we won't hold it against you. Thank you, Mr. Balmer, I appreciate it.
Anyone else have any questions? If not, do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
You got a second? Any discussion on the motion? No discussion, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Budget Amendment 11 is approved. Now, item 17, project updates. Mark, you up.
Yes, sir. Happy to be here. And for the first time in 2 years, we have no water treatment plant update. So I don't know if you will miss that or not. All right, so I've just got a general projects update presentation tonight. I know the first on the list is the I-85 project, the big one. Go to the next slide. So this is just an overview. I'm sure you'll see a lot of this slide over the next couple of years, but this just shows the overall scope of the project with the 3 new lift stations, associated force main and gravity interceptor lines running through Butner. Next slide, please. So an update over the past 30 days. On June 1st, we held a coordination meeting with our consultant, CDM Smith, where we reviewed pump station siting and gravity sewer interceptor route evaluation, trying to determine the best route to run those gravity lines through the town of Butner, and also identifying the best location for those 3 lift stations. On June 8th, we had an additional coordination meeting with our consultant where we worked on design standards for the lift station and pipeline, and this included materials and specifications to be used in the design. We met with our utility superintendent, our utility supervisor, and additional staff to make sure we were providing guidelines that our field guys, our field crews wanted, make sure we meeting the specs, what they expect and what they need in the field. On June 9th, we had a meeting with the Corps of Engineers regarding an easement that's going to be required to cross federal property with one of our force mains. That process can take over a year, so we wanted to go ahead and get the ball rolling on that easement acquisition. So we had that meeting last week. And part of CDM scope was to do additional sewer flow monitoring to further refine the model. The previous model, what we used in phase 1, they just used the flow data from the previous 2019 project. So with this scope, we ended up adding more flow monitoring to increase the accuracy of the model. So next slide, please. So over the next 30 days, we will continue to develop the preliminary engineering report. We expect to have that submitted to us for review on July 28th. We will begin a license agreement with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to request permission to survey on their property. We actually have to go through and get a license to do any work that's wetland identification, geotechnical work, and surveying. So we're getting a license agreement to encompass all of those tasks that we need to do on their property. We are refining the hydraulic model based on the additional flow monitoring that I just spoke of. And we are going to begin property owner notification for the upcoming field work. We have to give by statute at least 30 days notice for entering someone's property for stream wetland delineation and surveying utility location. So next slide. And this is just an overall view of the project schedule. I guess preliminary engineering report, that's probably the main thing on this list. As we mentioned, towards the end of July, we'll have the draft, and then I'll look at the final report at the end of September. That is a document that is required for the funding sources. Next slide. This is the big one. This shows a lot of the survey work, geotechnical work, and easement plat preparation. So that work is taking place throughout 22, 23, and a portion of 24. And the last slide for this project update shows the bidding, the permitting and bidding. And as we discussed at the last meeting, we're looking at construction package 1 going to bid October of 23, and construction package 2 going to bid in July of 2024. So next slide, I think that just goes to the questions. So are there any questions about the I-85 project?
So we're moving the hydraulic model report out to August now?
The water model?
Yeah.
That's on a slide.
Oh, okay. I just saw the project model and I thought it was the same thing. I'm sorry.
You're jumping ahead just a little bit.
I love it when you do these presentations.
Okay, anyone else got any questions? Any comments? All right.
All right, next slide. Now we're getting to the hydraulic water model.
Okay.
So as we've discussed before, this is a water model looking at the city of Creedmoor, looking at pressures and water quality throughout the service area around the city. We'll jump to the next slide to go to the schedule. So yes, you are correct. We had planned for the draft of the draft report to be to us in June with the final in July. We are shifting that back 1 month. The reason for that is we took the available water quality data that we had from our field testing, and when we plugged that data into the model, we realized that we needed some additional water samples. So we wanted more water quality samples throughout Creedmoor to better refine that model, to better calibrate it and get more accurate results. So we identified 7 additional locations to go out and take those samples to get the chlorine residual information from those locations, so we get better data for the existing conditions throughout Creedmoor. That testing is taking place now. We should have those results this week. I would love to have that draft report by the end of June, but the consultant said that they thought it would push to July. So we will have that report in July with the final report in August. But we just wanted to make sure we're getting the most accurate water model possible, so we felt the need to get that additional testing. All right, remote site monitoring system upgrade. This is one we've been talking about for the last few months. This is where the company or the service provider Data Command has installed the monitoring hardware at all of our lift stations, our 47 lift stations, 5 booster pumps, and 7 water towers. Next slide, please. So as the update at the last board meeting, we had 2 pressure transducers that had to be replaced at 2 of our water towers before the last 2 monitoring. The last 2 sites will be updated with the monitoring equipment. Due to supply issues, that drug on a little longer than we hoped, but everything is in stock now. We actually were on site installing the equipment today. So the pressure transducers and the Data Command monitoring hardware, I didn't get an update. I hope it's all in and complete as of today. Should be getting our monitoring software, like the screen that you see here, updated this week. So hopefully by the end of this week, everything will be 100%. We'll be able to close the project out. Next slide. I believe. Are there any questions on that?
Are all of, I remember we had some pump issues. One pump was running longer than the other pump, and is all that up to speed now with all our pumps?
So we found a list of issues that need to be addressed throughout the service area. The one in question with one of the pumps not working, yes, any of those we've gone out and we've addressed those now. But a big one is when we find that the 2 pumps at a site, one is running a lot more efficiently than the other. I think I showed a slide last time where
Yes, sir.
one pump had a lot more hours of runtime. That's something that's going to take a little more time, because we'll have to pull those pumps. We may have to rebuild those or actually buy new pumps and replace those. That's a lot larger budget item and more long-term fix. But that's something as we continue to develop our capital improvement plan, a lot of those pumps will be placed on there for replacement.
And I would have to say, Commissioner, just to add to that, you'll see in our upcoming fiscal year, I'm sure legislative memos coming to the board asking for purchase of pumps as we find those as well. Usually the expense is above my purchasing authority, so I bring those to the board. So look for those coming up in our next fiscal year.
Well, at least we have the technology now that we can catch it.
Help us better define.
Help us
what
better
we can
define
do.
which pumps
Exactly.
working and which ones overworking.
Exactly.
All right, and that concludes the project update. Are there any other questions about these projects?
Mark, I just have a question for you on the I-85 project. You see the aggressive schedule that we have out there. You mentioned last time that the design consultants are going to work as fast as they can to try to beat some of those dates. So at this point, working with them for the last, 6 weeks, are you satisfied with the progress that they're making? The speed, I guess, are they on task as far as you're concerned?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
I am talking to our consultant daily. We've got a weekly meeting where we go over all the tasks that I owe them, all the information I owe them, plus all the information they owe me. There's a lot of coordination going on. We are talking about ways to shorten that schedule. I think a lot of that will probably come later as we look at potentially bidding the project before we actually have the permits in hand. That's a potential risk, but if we get most of our comments addressed, feel confident that we're going to have the permits and no other changes, we could put the projects out to bid sooner, which could potentially knock months off the schedule. And right now, it is showing it going out to bid after permits are in hand. But that is one item that we're looking at that. That's something that we'll have to consider. But we are very aggressive on the schedule right now.
Very good. Thank you.
So the permit is coming from a state level. It's not only county. We're talking about DEQ
We
and
have
federal.
numerous state and federal permits that are going to be required on this project. We've got to get DOT permits to bore under the interstate. We've got to have DOT permits to bore under any of their other state roads. We've got to get railroad crossing permits, plus all the state environmental permits, erosion control, wetland impacts, so forth. So there's a lot of permits.
A lot of regulation, a lot of hoops to jump through. Big project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You, okay, thank you. And that concludes our project updates. Comments from my executive director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mark, again, thank you for all that you're doing and for that project update. Richard, thank you for wrapping up our fiscal year budget amendment for us. I know you're excited about starting the next fiscal year, right? I saw that excitement today when we talked about items coming up in July. So you had to pull the reins in on me a little bit, so just wait a couple of weeks before we get into that project. And I said, okay, I'll give you a break. But thanks again, appreciate that. Speaking of finance, we have a finance committee meeting coming up this Friday. That information is posted on our website. It's posted at the doors. It's a virtual meeting. So this evening I sent all the board members just an updated invitation if you can join us. If not, it will be recorded and we'll also have that available on our website a day or two after the actual meeting. Again, this meeting, the agenda, if I remember correctly, is to focus on the rate model discussion that we had at a previous board meeting. Talk about that, and we also leave room for other topics for discussion come up that the finance committee members want to put on the table. So I believe that's a 9 o'clock start. That information on our website. Water treatment plant. Even though we wrapped up our water treatment plant construction recently, we've been offering tours of the facility to our board members, and I've completed tours with Commissioner Karen so far, Councilperson Jordan, Commissioner Kaczynski, and Mayor Wheeler from the city of Greenville. So I look to get our other board members out there sometime when it goes below 99 degrees, sometime this summer. We'll work on those schedules, and if it doesn't work out, we'll catch you in the fall and give you that tour as well. So we spent about, Commissioner Kaczynski, what did we spend, about an hour?
Yeah,
Commissioner Jordan, or
it was
Councilperson Jordan,
45
about an
minutes
hour?
to an hour.
Yeah, so giving you a good overview of what we're doing there. So lastly, we are required to publish a consumer confidence report annually. And this covers the reporting period for calendar year previous. So it's different than our fiscal year, but it's calendar year 2021. So that item has been posted on our website. There's a news item for that. You can click on that. And additionally, we're actually putting information on our June utility bills as far as the site of that document as well, so that those utility customers can have access to that. And we'll also make copies available here in customer service pass out as well. So I just wanted to mention a couple of those items this evening, Mr. Chair and board members. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from our attorney?
I don't think I have any tonight.
Okay. Is there any need for closed session? No need tonight. Okay, good deal. And comments from board members. Mr. Way, you have any comments for us tonight?
No, other than appreciate all the work you're doing and you guys are doing. Keep going full speed ahead. Not going on. Get ready to jump into our next budget year. We're here for you, sir.
Mr. McLeod.
Not tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jordan.
Just want to thank Scott for the great tour. It's, when we see our monthly reports, it's different when you actually see it in reality, so I appreciate your time. Just encourage everyone else to go out for the tour and see the great work that's been done. So that was all. Thank you.
I think I need new glasses. I've missed Mr. Carey.
I was gonna give a big, long story about, I have no report. I appreciate the tour. I wanted to see the belt press before it got well used. It's amazing night and day difference. So there's a little whitewash, but that's a mistake as far as I'm concerned. The guts that are there now, looking at some of the old infrastructure they had there, it's just like, I hope that folks on the utility understand the amount of effort that it took to accomplish the task. That's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Kaczynski.
Well, my mind just about exploded with all the information that Scott gave on that tour. But Commissioner Taryn, I absolutely agree with you. That belt press, watching that separate, it was amazing to me. I had no idea that there was that much stuff being filtered out of the water, and it truly was amazing. And if you don't want to wait until it gets cooler, there's a lot of water out there you could cool off in if you still want to take a tour in the summertime. There's a giant pool out there you could jump in and take a swim if you really wanted to. But the level of information that you shared with us, it was amazing. And I thank Mark for his dedication to seeing that project all the way through. I know I came on and that was the very first thing we voted on, and I was like, I don't know about this, but it was a good thing to do, and seeing the changes that have been made already. And I hope, Mark, you have no downtime now that that water plant is done and you don't run out of things to do. But if you do, give Scott a call. Okay?
Thank you. And I enjoyed the tour also, and it was great, a lot of information. It's kind of amazing watching the belt press run. I had experience with belt press on the other side, on the wastewater side before. And and I'm glad we went ahead and spent the money to upsize the belt press, where we're not having to run it 40 hours a week with no time for maintenance, no time for repairs. So it's good to see that in operation. And it's good to see that project come to a conclusion, but I'm sure there'll be other projects in coming years. And, we're lucky enough that we have a piece of property there that's large enough we can expand on into the future as water treatment evolves. And I want to thank each and every one of the board members tonight for all that you do. I want to thank our executive director. I think Mr. Balmer and Mr. Hamlet figured out just how valuable he's been since he's been on vacation. I'll leave you guys alone now. I was bugging you last week while Scott was on vacation, so I'll leave you alone. I'll go back to bugging Scott. So. But Richard, thank you for all that you do. Mark, thank you for all that you do. And I think you did a great job staying on top of things at the water plant and bringing that project in. And it sounds like you're off to a running start on the I-85 project. And I got a feeling we're going to be depleting that $35 million a lot quicker than we thought we were. We thought this was going to be, over a long period of time, but the way you've got this thing going, it's moving along quick, and we certainly appreciate what you do. And with that, is there any further business to come before us tonight? If not, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Got a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I don't think there's going to be any discussion on it. All those in favor say bye.
Bye.
Oh, thank you all.